Welcome to Allies or Enemies. Today we are looking at SETI, Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. Our copy was provided for review, but the thoughts in this video are all our own. Designed by Tomáš Holek, SETI is a game for 1 to 4 players, all about the quest to find signs of life in the universe. But while there may be a few fun surprises, this is much more science than fiction. Think more stars, less wars, but we'll get back to that in just a minute. First, let's start with how it plays.
You start the game with a player board, some probes and markers, a few cards, an income card, and a bit of money and energy. On your turn, you'll take one of 8 main actions, which include launching a probe from Earth, which you'll be sending off to other planets, sending that probe to orbit a planet for bonuses, landing a probe on a planet, which will also gain you bonuses, as well as finding traces of life in our solar system, playing cards from your hand for various abilities and missions, scanning stars, which will gain you data and find traces of life in other solar systems, analyzing data, which will find traces of alien life, researching tech, which lets you upgrade your other actions, and passing. Much of this will also lead to bonuses, such as moving probes, increasing your income, and most importantly, finding life, because once 3 kinds of life are found for one of the 2 alien species, you reveal that species and new rules and goals are introduced. After 5 rounds, players will gain points from scoring tiles, played cards with endgame conditions, and any extra points from discovered aliens. And the greatest researcher is named.
SETI is a big game, both in scope and in table presence. You have a galaxy of stuff to do, and there is no way you'll get close to doing all or even most of it. One huge point of variability is the cards. There is a deck of 138 of these, and you'll see maybe 20 through a game. And because they are all so different, they will have a big bearing on your path. But they will also come with some tough choices. Because resources are so tight, you'll likely end up discarding at least half of these cards for their discard bonus, which is difficult because they are all super strong. Also giving you a nudge will be the gold scoring tiles. Unfortunately, there are only 4 double-sided tiles, and they are similar front and back, but you can only choose 3 of these a game, and the best slots are first come, first choose, so what you end up with will change your focus. But perhaps the biggest, or at least the flashiest thing, will be the alien species. There are 5 total, and only 2 are used at random each game, and they are all enormously game-changing when they pop up, usually about a third of the way through the game. Some of these add powerful cards to your hand, or extra missions, or reasons to explore or scan certain parts of the galaxy. One also adds a kind of danger cost to taking its benefits, which will bite whoever has the most danger in the proverbial space butt at the end of the game. Then there are also the upgrades, and the sometimes surprising rotation of the solar system. It's really quite a galactic sandbox that will feel quite a bit different each time.
SETI has a heck of a table presence, and you will need a decent sized table to fit it all, but it's pretty impressive once set up. The main focal point is, of course, the rotating solar system. This will generally only move a few times per round, but it's kind of fun every time it happens, and it does work surprisingly smoothly. The rest of the board also does a decent job of keeping everything well organized, especially for a game of this scope, and the icons take shockingly little time to get a handle on, which is in large part because there are only really 5 or 6 key bonuses that drive the system. All of the player bits are made of CGE's rewood material, which we first saw in last year's Kutna, and it still looks and feels great. Also, the little data circles are nice, though they look dangerously tasty. The only slight iffy we have here is how much of a table hog this game is, but we don't see any way around that, and the boards can be rearranged if necessary. But like any big game, it's something to keep in mind.
SETI plays for 1 to 4 players, and it does work at all counts, but it will feel different. At 2 and 3 players, the only mechanical change is that a few dummy tokens are added to help speed up unlocking the alien species, and that works well to keep the flow on track. But at fewer players, things will be generally a lot less tight. There are more discovery bonuses available for being the first to land or orbit or fill scans. And once the alien species are discovered, there are a lot more available slots. The only part that gets a bit tougher is the scanning, which is much harder to complete at 2, and could have perhaps used a few dummy tokens to help balance things out. The plus side is that scanning is a bit more predictable, but it takes a bit longer and does lose some of that interaction. Conversely, at 4 players, everything is a bit tighter, those bonuses get gobbled up faster, the best goal spots get taken sooner, and the competition for scans gets fierce, with a lot higher chance of someone scooping a majority out from under you. There is also a solo mode that features a full rival. It is run by a deck of cards, uses the flip side of the player board, and will do most of the things a player does, as well as adding objectives that you need to complete by the end of the game to avoid giving your rival bonus points. It's a full solo mode with 5 different difficulty levels.
SETI is a big experience type of game. This is the sort of thing you will need a full brain for and perhaps a chunk of time put aside on a Saturday afternoon. But it is quite an experience. There are a lot of levers to play with here. And while the resources are tight, like super tight, there are generally a few paths to get things, especially in later rounds. The flip side of that is that you need to expect players to take a bit of time weighing their options and figuring out how to squeeze out that one more energy they need. We played a 4-player game with 2 of our speediest thinking friends, and it was still the better part of 3 hours. Plus, the flip side to that flip side is that you'll need the downtime to make your own plans. This is also a game with a lot of interconnected systems, which for some will be a huge bonus as it presents a complex puzzle, but it is possible to put yourself in a situation where your engine isn't making enough of one of those key resources, or you just can't launch that probe you need to get to that planet. It is also worth noting that revealing the aliens will mean a smidge of new mid-game rules, but it's relatively smooth and certainly nothing like the chaos that can happen in some other games. In the end, this is one we'd primarily suggest to experienced gamers and perhaps some very intrepid Carl Sagan fans, but it is also one we expect to be on a lot of Game of the Year lists. Most likely ours included. And that is it. Have you played SETI? What did you think? And what are some of your other favorite space games? Please let us know in the comments. And also please do like and subscribe. And hopefully we'll see you all next time for another game.